2, 3.
Welcome to Off the Rails,
a podcast where we talk about anything and everything while trying to stay on topic. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Justin.
And today's topic is actually going to be a little heavier than usual. So today we're going to be talking about privilege with the one and only most esteemed guest here, Jazlyn DeBrito.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jazlyn. I am 17. I'm from Angola, which is in the west part of Africa. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Awesomeness.
Jazz is one of our most closest friends here in our small little country, and I think especially for this, like, I know that Jazz, you did want to talk about this with us.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's really important to talk about it.
Especially everything happening right now. So, as some of you may or may not know, there have been several things going on, mainly in the U.S., but, you know, like Makia Bryant, I think her name is, and being shot by the police in her own home.
Mm-hmm.
And another man, Mario Gonzalez in California, died almost exactly the same way as George Floyd, which is honestly really scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah. But I mean, it just kind of shows that even though, what's his name, Derek Chauvin, even though he was, I mean, he's guilty, right? We've been you, but like now that he's actually like actually going to jail, I think it just shows that even though that happened and there was another incident, it just shows that it was not justice, but it was accountability. So that was just like a little tiny step into something good, but America still has a lot to go.
It's almost like America solved part A of their question, but they still have all the way to Z to go. And like, if you really think about it, because it literally happened the same exact way with Mario Gonzalez, where, like, how is that repercussion going to play out now?
Will we ever really learn is the question.
Yeah.
No. I honestly, like, I've given up and hope that there'll be change in America or the world in general, right? But, like, I just feel like until the end of humans, there's just going to be some kind of division, whether it's race or socioeconomic or anything.
I have thought about this. It's not really about privilege. We'll get there in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have always thought about this, like, there won't be discrimination in any form in any society.
For sure.
It just, like, depends on who the majority and who the minority is.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily always going to be white people versus black people.
No.
It could be, like, white people versus Asian people.
It doesn't even
white people versus anyone. Honestly, any race versus any other race.
It just depends on the numbers, really, and who is originally in power, and usually that usually stays throughout the whole entire history.
But it's like, it's not just numbers. I feel like even in Asia, I feel like, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I feel like naturally people kind of see white people a certain way. So it's like, if you see a white man walking around in Singapore, you instantly think he has a good job or he's like doing well, right?
You like assume a bunch of things about each kind of like race.
Exactly. So I feel like it even it's not not just numbers. It's like white people have had power since the beginning of time.
The dawn
so
of
it's
time.
like, you know, it's just
custom.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Before we get into all the privilege stuff, I think we have to set boundaries to what exactly is privilege. Because, like, I know a bunch of people have different definitions of privilege. So I think to benefit our conversation, us three should have, and our listeners should know exactly how we see privilege. So my personal definition of privilege is when someone has, like, privilege is the benefits one gets from just existing. So, like, you don't have to work for the benefits. They're just already given to you as soon as you pop out that womb.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said what I would say. I think the main thing is access. Access doesn't have to be like physical things, but just access in general. If you have more access to something compared to someone else, you have more privilege.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to exhaust basically what you guys said, but
Yeah.
I would agree with both those things combined.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've established this, I would also like to say I want this to be like a safe conversation.
Yeah.
Like obviously people like when we talk about complicated topics like privilege or like acknowledging stuff like this, like we are obviously going to mess up
Yeah.
in these conversations,
Yeah.
but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
We have to learn from it, right?
To
So
start somewhere.
just want to say that before I say something bad.
Let's not get canceled.
But also, if you are a listener and you feel like we're attacking you, for whatever reason, you don't think and you don't necessarily agree with what we're saying, just know that we are not coming from a very malicious.
Yeah.
Like we don't have any malicious intent, but this is like what we feel right now about the current situation that's
In
happening.
this time and
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
We're not attacking anyone. We're just expressing what we think is an issue.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I want to start off with this type of privilege. Well, not really type of privilege, but it's when people. When white people. They say, that they hate being white and they wish there was something else. You know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people who say that understand how many minorities not necessarily want to be white, but want to have what white people have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. When I was younger, I felt like being white would have been. I mean, I still think being white would be so much easier, but like,
Yeah.
But like, I feel like when I was younger, it wasn't like I wanted to be white, but I was like, it would be kind of nice. Wait, that sounds kind of bad. That sounds really
kind of good.
But like, okay, I mean, this is like, okay, but like, I watched Disney a lot when I was younger, right? So like, when you see like all your favorite actors are pretty much white, and like, I grew up with Barbie, she was white. I mean, it's like, it's not like I really wanted to be them, because like I grew up also like, if there was like one black character, they were automatically my favorite character because they're black. But like, that's just like the way my head worked. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I kind of wish my hair was straight, or I kind of wish this and that. But it's like now I do realize that I like being black. I do. I truly do. Like, I like that sense of community and like power, but I do know that it would be made a little bit easier if I was white.
You know, I kind of wanted to say something about how you like identify with like any black character because everybody else is white.
Yeah.
Like I saw like several things on TikTok. It was like white girls that are like, oh, I identify with this character because she's blonde, or like she has straight hair, or she has wavy hair, and I'm like, dude, like, okay. But like, there are literally people out here just identifying with one singular person because they're the only person of their race being represented.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like your hair texture is like 1A, and this, you know what I'm saying? It's just like so.
Yeah, I mean, like, I grew up like literally being obsessed with Zendaya and Sky Jackson.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Sky Jackson, because they were like the only two like black actresses that I like looked up to, because they were the only ones in their shows. In Disney, period.
Like, yeah.
So,
For me, the thing that just ticks me off is when people say like, I have problems too, and I'm like, okay, what are your problems? And it's like they're trying to level the playing field when it literally are two universes away.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like saying I have problems too, or like saying like, oh, I hate being white because everyone thinks that like I'm a bad person, right? I'm like, okay, a
Like,
lot of
it's-
minorities are being killed in the U.S.
Yeah.
because they called someone who's supposed to like protect them.
Mhm.
Like, sure, being like people thinking that you're like a bad person is equivalent to that. No.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know. It's a little bit. It's really ignorant.
Mhm.
If that's like the most basic way I can say it.
Yeah.
It's really ignorant because I know, like, I'm black and I know that everybody has problems. Like, I literally, like, there's so many things that, like, I'm not saying everybody has problems, but I'm just saying, like, I know people have different, like, issues in their lives. So I'm not saying, like, just because I'm black, I'm, like, the most oppressed person in the world. Like, that's not it. Like, the thing is, like, when people say Black Lives Matter, like I said earlier, like, it's just saying, like, Black Lives Matter too, by the way. You know, it's not saying, like, we are the only ones that struggle. Like, and Asian people, especially right now, they struggle too. Hispanic people, anything like that. I know white people struggle too. There's, like, you know, it's like, I feel like people don't realize that a lot of the things are not saying that one is better and one should be cared for more. It's just that we are not realizing that this matters too. So I feel like that's what a lot of people don't realize when they say, "Oh, I hate being white. I hate being identified as a school shooter." What? Okay. Like, no, that's just not how. No.
I didn't know we were setting stereotypes for school shooters. Racist for this, but that's a whole other thing about that. But yeah, I mean, I also kind of just wanted to ask you about, like, your personal experiences with white privilege and stuff, or, like, have you ever felt like anyone that you knew,
yeah.
Does that?
Yeah.
I didn't finish my question.
I
but,
see.
like,
I see where you're going.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We go to high school. With,
that's true.
With stupid people, immature people. You know, it's just a daily thing we see. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I've had experiences with people. There was someone who was calling me the N-word behind my back. Someone that I've never had a problem with, you know. So, that was unfortunate just because, like, I've never had an issue with this person. But this person was being, like, really racist. So, you know. But that's we moved on for that. But then my very first experience with racism would be in first grade when I was in the bus. There were two boys. They were like 4th and 5th grade, and I was in first grade. Anyways, every day in the bus for like a week, they would make fun of my hair and my skin and everything. I didn't really think about it. I was in first grade. I didn't really get why they were saying these things. But then eventually I got home and, like, started bawling my eyes out, and my mom reported it. And yeah, they got in trouble. Yeah, whatever. But I feel like, you know, I've had my experiences, but it's not like I walk around scared of people, you know? But, I mean, sometimes I feel like, I mean, I like to think of myself as a very nice person. Okay?
Yes,
so,
you are.
Too nice.
Too
and
nice sometimes.
that's the thing. I feel like I'm too nice, and I think people take advantage of that. Because, like, I'm not the type of person to make a big deal out of things, even though sometimes I should. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I need to be meaner, even though, like, I shouldn't. But, like, you know, I've had experiences here and there. There's, like, not one black person who's never had an experience. Or Asian person, or whatever. So, you know, unfortunately, it's just a normal part of life.
Yeah. Do you guys see that, like, Instagram story going out about, how, like, like the first slide is like I am not political or something like that, and it's talking about how, like, the fact that you do not have a stance on anything is a privilege, because that means it's not an issue for you, which I think is so important to, like, kind of bring out,
take into perspective.
Yeah, because, like, if you don't have to go out and protest, if you don't feel mad about these things, if you really, like, not to say this in a bad way, but if you really don't care, that is privilege, because you don't have to care when other people do about, like, little things, like, oh, will someone, like, attack me when I go to the grocery store or something like that, or, like, oh, when I walk down the street, am I okay, like, will I be safe? Like, if you don't have to think about those small things, that is privilege.
Yeah. And like I said before, like there's so many branches of privilege. So it's like walking down the street, it could be I'm scared because I'm black, I'm scared because I'm a girl, or I'm scared because I'm part of the LGBTQ community or whatever. So it's like there's so many branches. Like you need to realize that there's so many things.
Yeah. So not having an opinion on something, or not having an opinion, but
not feeling the need to reform your own perspective or your opinion on stuff. Just like not feeling like you need to be aware of like other issues with like other people. I feel like that is also privilege, I guess.
Yeah. It's like some people make oppression a competition.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
that is so stupid.
Where I'm like,
by the way.
That's so dumb. Like, nobody wants to win. Like, why?
I hope no one wants to be oppressed.
Why are you trying to win? Like, it makes no sense because, like, we all have issues. We're all oppressed to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right? Some are more, but you don't have to go bragging about, oh, like, people think I'm racist. Okay, well, people actually get attacked by racists. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like, just understanding. Like, it sounds like we're attacking white people, but we're not. But like, the main perpetrators of people who really don't acknowledge their privilege are white.
Yeah.
Americans.
That's true.
Right. So I think the most important part is like, especially around people of color or minorities, like if you are the majority, you need to understand like the dynamics between you and other individuals of minority groups, right?
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a really hard topic because there's just, I don't know.
There's so many niches, I feel like.
Yeah.
Niches.
Yes.
I mean, we could get into it. Here, let's pick up one. Like, I think it is for us, especially us three.
I feel like it's more prevalent in where we live. That, wait, are we talking about a different kind of privilege?
Yeah.
Not white privilege?
Yeah, not specifically white privilege, but like, because there's so much types of privilege out there, like, we do want to acknowledge that, like when we say you have privilege and you are like not white, you still have some privileges.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I know I have privileges. Like, I go to school. I have my parents with me, and I can eat food, It's like, I know I have privileges. It's just, it's important to acknowledge the things that, that unfortunately I don't have privilege on some stuff, you know? So I think it's like really important to acknowledge that too.
No, like literally what Josh just said, like all those little things that you don't think about is a privilege. Like food, shelter, water, the basics. Some people don't have that. And if you think about it, especially for our school, if you don't have a laptop, you can't do anything. You don't have like a $200, $400 calculator, you really can't do math.
It's crazy you like don't have something for a day and then you try and go throughout your day not having the thing. Like, okay, for example, like if you don't have your SAS card, or if you don't have your school ID.
Yes.
And like for us, we have like our lunch, like we buy our lunch with it and we like enter the school with it. Like if you like don't like bring your card with you, like you can't like buy lunch, you can't like enter the school or whatever,
Yeah.
That was a really bad example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like as soon as something is taken away from you, you automatically lose privileges.
Like honestly,
to other
if
things.
you lose your phone, you can't like go around like find directions to places. You can't like call people if you're stuck somewhere. or like whatever. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, we have these things, we hardly ever think about it in our daily life because it's always just there until it's
so
not
true.
there anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, and it's like you get a slap of reality when you go to certain places. Like, when I go back home to Angola, like, you know, it's a developing country, right? But like every time I go back, I see like kids in the streets and stuff. I'm like, whoa, like people actually live like this. Like, it didn't really come like process in my head that people actually live a completely different life than me, you know?
Yeah.
Just like,
Like, not everyone has the same stuff as us.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the hardest things for people that do have privilege. I feel like that's hard to see. Like, even for me, like, when we were first, like, having conversations like this at school, like for us in our class, we were, like, we kind of had, like, a racial, like, based unit of, like, English. And when we were first talking about it, sometimes I had, like, no idea what they were saying in the book.
Like, you just couldn't relate to it.
Yes, and I feel like that's so frustrating for people. Like, it's just hard to understand because you don't have this, like, I don't know how to say this without being, like, controversial.
Just say it, girl.
But, like, it's just hard to understand when you aren't experiencing the same thing. I feel like sometimes that's why people try to relate to it. Or, like, they try to equate their problems to each other, if that makes any sense.
That's very... That makes sense.
Yeah. Like, you make sense, Natasha. You make sense. Good job.
Like, if anyone takes that as controversial, then they're controversial. I don't know. And, like, literally, it's like, that makes sense. Like, it's... If you don't understand something, it's gonna be hard to, like...
But I think it's just, like, for anyone who's, like, struggling to understand it, it's just, like, scratch that. Don't even, like, try to understand. Just listen.
Exactly.
I think it's just, like, people don't want to hear it. And that is the main problem.
I think that should be the main lesson of this episode. Listen.
Yes, please. Just don't speak. You're mute.
Yes.
You have ears, though.
I think people are always trying to... I think, like... They need to understand that because they never experience it, they will never understand it, and that's okay.
Yes.
Like, it is okay to not understand something.
Precisely.
But it is not okay to, like, ignore, dismiss or ignore, or kind of, like, what's the word? Like, kind of...
Put it to the side.
Yeah, put it aside. Like, you have to, like, know it's there.
Yeah.
As long as you know it's there.
Acknowledge it.
And you understand that you will never understand.
Yeah.
Like, the issues that minorities are going through if you've never experienced it, that's important. Like, that is what everyone needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, that you said it perfectly. It's I mean, it's always gonna be hard to understand or, like, have these conversations, but I mean, you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere. You have to have conversations because privilege is, like, probably the most prevalent thing in our world, and we don't realize. So, like, sometimes we don't realize that. So I think having conversations is really important.
But I also think that, like, our school is trying to have more conversations about it, and it's not necessarily about privilege, but more about, like,
DEI, diversity,
equity,
and inclusion.
Yeah.
like things like that, like, just talking about the fact that not everything is equal, not everything is, like, as diverse as our school or stuff like that, and, like, trying to build a community. Like, in my honest opinion, I don't think they're going about it the right way.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, but they are acknowledging important things, which I think is good.
I mean, I feel like, right, it's, at least they're trying. Because, I mean, like...
They could be doing nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is with the school is that they're trying really hard, and I, like, appreciate, especially the teachers that I have that are really, like, trying to listen and, like, they actually want to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the problem is not the teachers, it's the students.
Oh,
And
ain't that the truth?
that's a different problem that it's really hard to fix someone. You can't fix someone's
Yeah.
ideas. You can't really do anything about that.
Mm-hmm. I also find it that it's hard. It's like a lot of, like, it's hard to properly, like, what's the word? Like, not reprimand, but like to discipline
Mhm.
people who do that, because it's almost always like he said, she said kind of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really difficult as well
Yeah.
Yes.
to like attack that. Not attack
Yeah.
that. I mean, like, go about that and
Yeah.
like tackle these things,
Yeah.
these issues in our community.
Mhm.
It's also, like, this episode is not it's not to say, like, your opinion is invalid,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can have your own opinion. I could care less about what your opinion is, right? But we are just stating, like, as minorities, right? And as, like, our like, as, like, people who are not necessarily in the States,
Yeah.
but from an outside point of view, we are stating why we think it's important
Mhm.
that people acknowledge their privilege. And if you don't think so, like, if you don't think that it's important, if you don't think that it's something that needs to be done, my advice is to reflect on that, right? Because that in itself is a privilege. If you don't want to see it like that, just know that it could, like, just having a conversation with someone else who doesn't share the same opinion as you is really beneficial.
Yeah.
It's important, I feel like, to surround yourself with people that are not only going to, like, inform your own opinion, your own existing opinions, but also, like, just, like, talking about things you disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like for us, personally, we're, like,
Mhm.
friends, same friends and
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes if we disagree about something, we kind of just, like, sweep it under the rug and we move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Actually, have you ever felt like that? Like, if we start talking about something, like, low-key controversial, does it ever get, like...
Sometimes,
Do you ever
yeah.
just, like, want to stop talking about it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, we always try to go the easier route, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, which is not good. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I love talking about this topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do like talking about it, but it's hard. And it's when people disagree, especially if you're really good friends with someone who has a different opinion with you on certain topics, like race,
Mm-hmm.
you just want to give up, right? Because I don't want to break up this friendship because we have different opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we should talk about it. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's easier to not talk about it sometimes.
I feel like that's also a little bit of a problem that
Yes, it
we
is.
should talk about or
Yeah.
we should fix.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
wait. Also, I just had a thought. Do they know what race we are?
Oh,
Oh.
Justin.
Well, I'm Asian.
And I'm a little bit of a mix of Asian and colonizer, so that's why I'm, like, low-key, like, walking on eggshells a little bit around this topic, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
I'm black.
Anyways,
So-
we should have done that in the
Yeah,
beginning,
we-
but,
Yeah,
like,
but-
let's just
Yeah.
Let's
move on.
continue.
So you know that we're credible sources.
Being all somewhat of a minority.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I kind of want to just say, like, the main points. Let's do main points time. Main points is not understanding is fine,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but listening and acknowledging the fact that there are differences is important. And that is, if you were to take anything away from that, I think that's, for me, that's, like, the most important. Just the fact that to, like, listen.
Yeah.
If you hear that thunder,
It's kind of vibes, though.
yeah.
I mean, single boy vibes, right?
For real.
But anyways, what was...
Yeah. So, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think that is all the time that we have today. This was a very intellectually stimulating conversation, guys.
Yeah.
More than the other ones that we've had on this podcast so far.
Ain't that right?
So, thank you for being here, for
Thank you for
facilitating this
having
conversation.
me.
Thanks, Jazz.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you.
But just make sure if you're listening and if you are white or if you acknowledge your own privileges, just make sure you reflect on them.
Yes.
That's all we ask.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for being here again. And thank you guys for listening. And if you guys would like to be updated about the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at offtherails.pod. And if you would like to follow us personally, you can follow us at Natasha Roach.
And Justin.Tran with 2 T's in the Justin.
Thank you guys for
Jazz, do you-
listening. Oh, do you have any last words?
Nah, just listen and get some black friends, guys.
Awesome.